Alright, so this is an all-in-one video to show you how to animate a camera so you can do a fly-through of your level. To get started, I'm just going to grab a static mesh and set up just a tiny obstacle course just to show you this. Okay, so I'm going to put this one over here, and then I'm going to hold Alt and put that one over here. Easy as that. Keep it stupid simple. Now, over here, I'm going to go into the content browser, go to actor classes, and click out a camera actor. We can jump into this camera by clicking this eye and then clicking on the camera. Alright, pretty cool. Now, how do we animate it? And how do we get out of the camera? So if you click the eye, you can now just run off, and there we're out of the camera. Okay, again, I'm just going to jump into the camera though, and then I'm going to go into Kismet. I'll right click here in Kismet and say New Matinee. I'll double click in the Matinee and make sure I have the camera highlighted. Well, there's a problem. If I'm in camera, how do I tell if I got the camera selected? Well, just get out of camera, click on it, right click in the gray area and say New Camera Group. Let's call this SynCam. Okay. Now SynCam works like this. I'll put 10 seconds out here, and I'll show you my handy dandy workflow for it. We can wheel out to get further or zoom out on our timeline, and then we can scroll just like that, and now we have 10 seconds of animation starting with frame 1. So in maybe 3 seconds, we'll go over to that one ring. But first, let's see something. I'm going to go into the camera, and then I'm going to click this button. So this allows me to see in the camera, and the other one allows me to steer it around pretty easy. Here's field of vision angle. This is essentially you're zooming in and out of the camera. To use that, we just hit enter, and we can click and drag this one back to 0 if we wanted to by holding Control and clicking and dragging it. That's how you move keys. To augment this type of key, you go right click and say set value. A value of 30 is zoomed in. A value of 130 is zoomed out. And 90 is perfect. So I'm not going to be using that, but that's how it works. Next, camera movement. Alright, so here at about 3 seconds, I'm going to move my cursor there, put this over on my other window, and I'm going to take this and I'm going to go over to this ring. And I'm going to get right in the center of the ring. Then I'm going to click on movement and hit key. Essentially, also you can hit enter on the keyboard. To see that, we're going to just scrub across, and it works. Alright, I'll put it on 5 seconds. And I'll get out to where I can turn around. Okay, which is right over here. Perfect. And I'll key. Again, let's play that on the timeline. Shoom. Shoom. Good. Right here I'll go through the other loop. Movement track key. And lastly, in 10 seconds, which I'm going to move my track over, we're going to go back onto the ground at a slight angle. Okay, let's play with that. I'm going to scrub across it on the other monitor of mine. There we go. Perfect. Now I'll just hop out of that. And now we need a way to trigger that. So let's go right click, which we can hop out of our camera now. And if we need to know where the camera's at, I could just scrub across the timeline and it'll pop back to where it was. I'll put a trigger here, right here on the ground. Right click, add actor, add trigger. And I want to be able to see that trigger just for entertainment's sake, so I double click on it and go to its properties and uncheck be hidden. While it's highlighted, I'll go over here and right click and say new event, touch. I'll attach that to play. If I want it to go forever, let's say I want to be able to trigger it as many times as I want, I'll put this to 0 for max trigger count. Okay. In Matinee, I need to set up a director's track. So double click Matinee, and right here I can right click and say new director group. Have my cursor right here on the timeline. Click on director and hit enter, and it'll ask me what camera do I want to use. In this case, SynCam. Now every time I hit that trigger, it's going to trigger SynCam. I'm going to jump in that camera, go for a ride, and then at the end, it'll switch back. Okay. I'll close out of this. The one thing bad about it, it needs at least one extra step here. Let's right click, say new event, and there's a toggle. Oh, new action, sorry. Toggle cinematic mode. When touched, it'll trigger cinematic mode and turn a lot of stuff off or on. Maybe I want hide player. I got all these things I could turn on and off. In this case, I want to uncheck hide player because I want the player to be shown during the cinematic. Right click, new variable, player. I'm going to set that to target. And when this matinee is complete, I want to disable cinematic mode. So again, just for those note takers, here's what I have. Okay. Now let's try it out. Right click, play from here. There's my camera, or there's my trigger. Zoomed, rotate around, going through there, and then back around. Where am I at? Well, quite easy. If you go into view world properties, you'll find that you weren't there because you aren't anything. You're just the camera itself, because default game type none is just a camera. UT game is a player. or a mesh. So let's click that on. Again, play from here. Click on it. And you can see me, I'm a little dot. Okay. Alright, that's basically it. That's the 101 of making a cinematic camera. Of course, you could do way more with it, but within 10 minutes, it was covered. So, enjoy.